Welcome to Show Me Your Setup, episode 16. On episode 6, we had professional voice talent Amy, a Connecticut-based voice talent, and we toured her studio, and today we're revisiting her studio. I'm Josh.
I'm Dan.
I'm Amy.
And Amy is just back from WoVOCon, and I'd love to hear all about it.
WoVOCon was in Chicago this time, and they adopted the old FAFCon model of the unconference, which is participant-driven.
It's an unconference.
It's an unconference, right. So Amy Snively developed this back in like 2010-ish, and she did all these FAFCons, and they sort of adopted that model and brought it back. So there were some original FAFers there, which was really cool. But it's put on by worldvoices.org, WoVOCon, and they've just kind of meshed the two, and it's magic. It's just amazing. It's limited to about 100 participants, so it's not just this big conference where you don't get to meet anyone. It's very intimate. The breakout session's very intimate. What I mean by participant-driven is people will say, hey, look, I have this burning question, and somebody's like, I know the answer to that. And they either, if enough people want to do it, there's a session on it, or they can meet one-on-one, and have coffee over it. It sounds unstructured, but there is a structure to it. And it's amazing. I always come back, just my cup is full, and I've met wonderful people, seen old friends, new friends, new connections. And my daughter came with me this time. And so she is now hooked on it. So if you ever have a chance to go to an unconference, do it. It's so worth it. So go if you can go. It's great. I am in an improv group. It's in Goshen. It's at the Goshen Players Town Hall, old Town Hall. It used to be the Town Hall. So it's a historic building. It's a great stage. It's tiny, but we're a big troupe, 14 people, I think, which is a lot for improv.
Yeah, it is. How long have you been doing this improv?
We started, I want to say last summer. We had a show. It's sold out. And then we did another one. And our third one's coming up December 6th and 7th. We're going to a 2-show model. So
nice.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's helped my voice acting a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
All right, so we have to throw a prompt at Amy now.
Go ahead.
Studio sound treatment. Talk.
Studio sound treatment. Okay, so when I moved in January, we took the booth that I have that I'm going to move. Should I move or do you want to just show a picture of it?
We'll show a picture. I'm looking at it too. It's like perfect timing, Dan.
Awesome. I had the booth, the 4x4 whisper room in the other house. When I called the movers, I said, have you ever moved a whisper room? No, we haven't. But they looked it up and they found the plans online, and they just had an idea before they got there of what they were going to do. So I tried to mark where I had all the foam. It didn't work out so well. But when they put it back up in this house, they had to put the window on the other side and the door on the other side. So I had a little bit of vertigo for a while because I felt like my booth was just totally backwards, and it took a while to get used to.
How many years had it been the other configuration?
Like 17.
Yeah, so 17 years of muscle memory and habits of going in one particular way and facing a certain way, and suddenly it's flopped.
Right. So you're looking at this window, and it's still a little weird, but and I wish I could switch the door because now it's right hinging, and I wish it were left hinging, but I'm not going to buy a door. I'll just deal with it this way.
I wonder if it can be flipped. It might be that everything aligns. I don't know. I mean, the entire panel would have to be flipped over and the door would have to be flipped. Not an easy thing, but maybe a doable thing. Because I built a booth, I don't think in terms of the limiting factors of reality. I think, well, I have some tools and some wood glue. We can make it happen.
That's a good skill to have because I do not have that. And if I wanted to do it, I would have to hire somebody. So why don't you come to Connecticut?
I mean, let me check into the feasibility of flipping the door before I make any promises.
Okay, sounds good. But it's really not a big deal. So, Josh, you had asked about soundproofing, right?
Dan
asked. Okay, so really I just used the same Auralex foam in there, and it's pretty quiet. We're at the end of a cul-de-sac here. Perfect for voice actors. And there's not really a lot of traffic coming through here. So I don't need a ton of soundproofing.
You're not on a flight path for major airport or anything?
A flight path. No, and the other place we had a big artery into town, so all the trucks with the J brakes and brrr, so that kind of, you would hear a little rumble maybe, but it was rare. So now it's, unless the guy's mowing my lawn, I don't really have any issues. So I do have some paneling. You could see behind me, that's foam paneling with a little sort of veneer, fake wood. I don't know what it is, but they're about 2 inches thick. And I just put those along that wall to bounce some of the sound, the echo.
When you sent over the pictures, I looked at those and I immediately was, I think they're very attractive looking. Yeah, they're really nice because they both absorb and diffuse, because that hard surface reflects some frequencies, but the slits allow for other frequencies to be caught in the foam, so it does both an absorption and a diffusion.
Oh.
Which kind of evens out the room overall.
Who knew?
Less reflection, but without getting too muddy.
Let me pause quickly and just set things up. This is Show Me Your Setup. It's a podcast series and a YouTube series where we talk about and geek out over people's setups, often recording setups, often computer setups, anywhere people get work done or they're creative. And Dan and I have been revisiting setups. So we're talking to Amy today because she has moved, and that includes moving her entire studio. You heard her talking about the moving company. And Amy, the first thing that I felt when I saw your photos is how warm and beautiful and relaxing your new room is. You've done a beautiful job, and especially that acoustic panel. Like, I just had no idea. I was like, oh, what gorgeous artwork. It's like wood, and it's a design that I haven't seen before, but it's just so beautiful. And then Dan's like, oh, acoustic panels pushed together. He knew it.
They are pushed together, yeah. They have Starry, Starry Night, Van Gogh. They have psychedelic, tie-dye, which I thought about, but it's not really me.
Every color of foam you want, different color wood veneers.
But yeah, and they'll put whatever painting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the room itself and what you were going for? Obviously, you didn't just throw your stuff in. This was a lot of planning, wasn't it? I'll just describe it. There's a seating area. There's a beautiful couch. There is an old Hollywood style light, a beautiful single chair, an IKEA Kallax unit with everything in beautiful white baskets. This is well thought out. Tell us about what you wanted. Was this move your opportunity to change things up?
I think so. It wasn't originally, but it was kind of like, well, I'm doing it. Let's make this big. Let's do, Dream Studio. So the IKEA set, that was in my old studio, and I love the baskets because each basket has different things, as you can imagine. And so office supplies are in one, or, invoices are in another, but you don't have to see the mess, right? So it's all sort of contained in there. If that weren't here, it would be very messy. The desk that I'm on is also IKEA. It's just a long, I don't know the name, the Swedish name for it, sorry. I've had this desk forever. There's a filing cabinet, which you don't see in the picture, also matches. So it's all this sort of birch wood. And this has worked for me for years. I have my mixer on top of a sort of portable rack where I have all the obsolete stuff like my Telos Zephyr Extreme and my Telos One phone patch, which I just have. It's a big paperweight right now.
People can revisit that and hear about those pieces in episode 6 of Show Me Your Setup, which is at youtube.com/@GoModPod.
Nice. Also on our website, gomodpod.com. Slip over to podcasts, select Show Me Your Setup, view all episodes, episode 6.
Yes. So you've done 10 since 9, right?
9 since, yes.
That's so cool. I'm so proud of you guys.
So a little background on this particular episode is a while back, I was working with Amy in a remote recording session, and I noticed that everything was different. And I was like, hey, you're in a whole new place. That's right. You moved. How did it go? How's everything? And how's the new setup? And wait a minute, you've changed your setup. We should come back on the show and talk about it.
That's right.
And that inspired Josh and I to think about what other shows we could revisit. So we also revisited his studio setup because his was the initial setup that we looked into way back in December of 22. And so then we revisited Josh's studio setup recently to see what had changed in his, and now we want to know what has changed in yours in terms of gear. Do you have any new equipment?
I have some on the way. It's on the way. So they, Sentrance, you know, the MicPort Pro people.
Yep. Very familiar.
I've used that for years, right? For any time I go on a trip, that's my rig that I take. So I love the company. They came out with, it's called the PASport VO, and it's specific to what we do. It has, I think there's 2 inputs. One is for your computer, and one would be for your iPad or your phone when you go on a Zoom call, and it allows you to play back and that Zoom people can hear you, or Riverside FM or Teams, whatever you're on. So I think that's kind of the new phone patch. I don't have a landline, so I don't use my phone patch. Really, Zoom has kind of replaced that. Would you agree with that? Do you think? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we took the landline out of our booth over half a year ago, maybe over a year ago, and haven't had any need to put it back. But now with the PASport VO, you'll be able to capture your microphone in a situation like in Riverside while still communicating through the PASport VO.
Yeah, it supposedly has really good pre's in it, so I'm geeking out about when that arrives. Then we'll have to talk again.
I mean, that sounds like a plan. In fact, we'll have to make you go out on the road. We'll go remote. We'll go full remote.
Well, I'm not using it for the road. That's the beauty of it. It's about this big. I saw a demo of it at WoVOCon. George Whittam was giving a demo of it because he helped design it. So I was like, okay, George, what does this do? And of course, I don't remember anything from it. But when I have it in my hand, I'll jog my memory. So
what are you going to do with all the extra real estate on your desk when you finally forego the giant paperweight of equipment you no longer need?
I haven't thought about that, Dan. Really? I was thinking of putting it actually in the booth with me when a client says, hey, can you give me more level? I don't have to walk out of the booth. I can just do it from there. The goal is to get rid of all this stuff, I think. Or have this mixer as a backup. Mm-hmm. I just had it fixed and it's working good. So,
Amy and Dan, I'm guessing a lot of people are eyeing the Sentrance voiceover actors audio interface, and I have it pulled up, so let me just read a little bit about the functions. It replaces at least 4 pieces of gear. In the past, you had to separately purchase a mic switch, a client patch device with mix-minus, a separate audio interface, a mixer. PASport VO replaces all those products, saving you over $2,000 in the process and preventing multiple setup headaches. So do you think you'll travel with your old Sentrance unit and this one will just stay in your studio?
I think so. That's the plan anyway. There's nothing wrong with the MicPort Pro, and it works in hotel rooms, and it's very tiny. It's about that big.
It's smaller than most microphones.
I don't see why I would change the way I travel. Let's face it, a carry-on real estate is, you got to have the smallest stuff possible in there. Yeah. Like the recording box.
Yeah.
That flattens.
You know, if you get one of those space seal vacuum seal bags, you can roll all the Auralex up and make them super tiny for the trip.
I did that one time, and then when I was coming home, I didn't have that.
Uh-oh.
So the phone was a lot bigger, but it worked out. I still fit it in my luggage, just barely.
Nice.
You know.
Amy, since we talked to you in episode 6 a year and a half ago, what are some of the projects that you've worked on that stand out to you as maybe being the most fun or the most challenging? The strangest? I don't know.
Strangest. Without giving away, who they are, I think recently the politicals are fun, especially when they tell you to be really angry.
So you're doing actual ads?
Yeah, a lot of political ads.
Wow. Where do they air, or where are they heard?
All over the country. So these are candidates in smaller races in some different states. When they call me, it could be, a Sunday evening. Like, this is the time of year that I'm available all the time.
You have to be fast because it's all about what's the hottest news story, because you have to capitalize on that right away, right?
Yeah.
You deliver quickly.
If I'm home. Obviously, when I was in Chicago, I'm just not available. But for the most part, this time of year, all bets are off. If it's 9:00 at night, sure, I'll do it. If it's, Sunday afternoon and I'm home, I'll do it. It's kind of like my father used to say, you could do anything, like boot camp, 6 weeks. You can do anything for a short stretch. So political season, my family knows it. My friends know it. Like I'm a veil and I cancel a lot of things to be in that booth.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
I still can't get over the seating area, how beautiful it is. Do you actually want it to be a welcoming space for others to kind of sit down and relax? Or do you not really have people joining you in there very often?
It's for my own peace of mind. It's kind of a Zen place. That, I think you're talking about my little couch thing here. So that's actually a storage bench. So there's things that are storage that you don't realize are storage. So
yeah.
So nobody really comes in here, just me, but it's my little oasis, and I just wanted it to be pretty.
You filled it with practical storage techniques, means you can keep it tidy all the time, which gives you a bit of calm when you're.
There's no clutter in this room.
No. You think so, huh?
Yeah. I still can't get over your aesthetic, Amy. I love your background, and I like how your mic is off to your right side. First of all, I love it for video conferencing. Are you at your editing station right now? Is that where you're sitting?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, so you had a video background in mind? Or no?
That's a good question. Did you plan this look? It looks great on camera.
No.
Okay.
The short answer is no. I think, yes, we're doing more podcasts, and so there has to be kind of an aesthetic behind us these days. It's just part of the evolution of what we do. And I want it to look nice. I'm looking in a mirror right now, so I can see that line of wave file from every angle in here, really. So it wasn't particularly for the background. It just lent itself, so it worked out. But I like it. I wouldn't change it.
And then your Hollywood light and your seating area behind you, that to me, that is a podcast setup. Like that's a video podcast setup. So just keep it in mind. You could host a podcast in there.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
I would love to, actually. I just don't know how to get started. But I think I know some people.
What a great lead in. Speaking of how to start a podcast,
we generally help businesses and organizations start a podcast. So they want more quality time with their customers. An advertisement isn't going to cut it. A banner ad on a website isn't going to cut it. So if you can get 30 minutes with a captive audience, with folks who are interested in what you do, it's just an amazing way to market. So we help you with the audio. We will sit in on your recording. We will do the editing. We will get you set up for video if you'd like to do that.
And before all of that, if you're just thinking about getting involved in podcasts but don't know what area you would focus on, we'll have a strategic meeting with you. We'll talk over a lot of ideas. We'll do some research. We'll come back with some ideas. We'll provide suggestions. And then we'll kick off the entire set of steps that Josh was talking about, where we'll help you set up to be able to do this recording and sound good. And if you're doing video, look good.
Look good, right.
Starting
Speaking
with the
of
background.
look good.
Oh, yeah.
Your hair looks amazing.
Yeah. Oh, no. I was not fishing for a compliment, but thank you.
That's how I started yesterday's session. I was like, wow, your hair looks really good. And you're like, yeah, really? This old thing?
No, but I told you why we were taking a photo for my improv group.
For the improv
so I
group.
had like a whole Christmas outfit on and everything. So our show is in December, so we wanted to look festive. I didn't think of that before I got on video with you that I was wearing Christmas pants, but I don't think you saw the pants.
Give the name of your group and tell us what people can expect in December.
Okay. So we're called the Goshen Roundabouts. Goshen is a very small town centered around a roundabout, so it was perfect. It's right where the theater is, right at the roundabout. So we're the Goshen Roundabouts. We're about 14 people, phenomenal actors from the area. I laugh like I haven't laughed in years every Wednesday night when we practice. It's like therapy for me. I love it. Where has it been all my life? It's kind of one of those things, and we just kind of mesh, and we're meshing more because the more you are in a troupe, the more you learn each other's sort of acting style and you play up to it. And We have fun. We get good reviews. So it's going to be December 6th and 7th at the Goshen Old Town Hall.
Amy, what else should we talk about on this episode?
I had a challenge in this new studio that I didn't have, which was
we love a
French
challenge.
doors.
Yes.
There's French doors, and I think I sent a picture from the outside so you could see. Okay. I didn't want to get rid of the French doors because they're beautiful, and even though I need to cover them up, but if we were able to sell this house, they're so nice. I don't want to just have these big industrial doors that I would need to really soundproof this room. So I purchased online some sound deadening curtains. They're also thermal.
So they have some mass to them, some thickness.
They have some thickness to them. So I wouldn't say they are soundproof by any stretch, but they really do deaden the sound if somebody's doing laundry, or the only thing I really hear is if someone inside the house is making some kind of noise.
Yeah.
A certain person plays trumpet.
There's still an air gap at the bottom of the door that can't be sealed off effectively. You're
right. So, you do what you can. Unless the cat's sticking his paw through there, then I'm
right.
like, stop. And I also got the same curtains for the windows.
Okay.
So if I really wanted to, there's the pull down levelor plus the curtains. If for some reason my neighbor was using a chainsaw or something and I really needed to record, I would have to close all these windows. But I like them open. I like the open.
The light
And the mirrors in here. I can see every angle the way it's kind of set up from in the booth. I don't feel like I'm in this restrictive little upright coffin,
So between the WoVOCon, the Goshen Roundabouts, and all the light and airiness of your studio, it sounds like what you've done is you've set up for joy and relaxation in your work life.
That was the goal. That was the goal. And trying to just be more conversational, as we hear everyone wants these days, right? So what's the way to be more conversational is to be confident and to be comfortable in your setting and your surroundings and just do you. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I'm getting inspired by your setup. I want to clean up this mess around me so that I can pan the camera around while I'm talking to people and not be too concerned. I think I can go in this direction, and I'm not going to worry about it too much because there's nothing really messy over there. If I go the other direction, I'll start to get self-conscious and I'll lose my cool. So I'm not going to do that today. But in the future, I'm going to do some of the stuff that you've done in your space. I'm going to take advantage of these ideas and I'm going to improve my setup so that I can set up for success as well.
Awesome. There wasn't enough electric amperage in this room for all these machines. So I had an electrician come in and give me a dedicated
circuit,
15 amp circuit. I don't remember how much, but it's plenty because it was cutting out. I was having nightmares about cutting out and having glitches on I use Twisted Wave, and it was glitching. And I thought it was the electricity in here.
Yeah.
And, I had many a meltdown when I first moved here over these, red lines. I'd be in my booth and I'd come out an hour later and I'd have to just redo the whole thing because just glitch. So it turns out, I hope this helps somebody. If it helps one person, it's worth it. I had to turn the Bluetooth off on my computer.
Okay.
And it solved the problem. So it wasn't even this house. It was just somehow my Bluetooth got switched on and it was causing all these issues.
That's
weird, right?
I'd like to remind people they can find Amy at our sister company, Marketing Messages. That's marketingmessages.com. She is one of our trusted voice talents and treasured voice talents. And you can also find her this December at Improv.
That's right. Yeah.
What were the dates? The 7th and 8th?
No, 6th and 7th of December.
6th and 7th. There we go.
Yeah.
The Goshen Roundabouts.
The Goshen Roundabouts. Yeah. It's fun.
Improv at its finest, people.
Do you all do improv? Have you tried it?
Never. No.
It's, yeah.
I've been to a comedy show where they were doing it, and my girlfriend at the time was chosen to interact, and then they asked me what I did for work, and that was record company work at the time, so they did a whole skit around it. I thought it was amazing.
It is amazing.
The company that I worked for was called Rounder Records, and they ended up making a joke about being square. So I thought that was brilliant.
That is brilliant. Well, you use a different part of your actor brain when you're doing improv, and I think it's helped me in the booth get out of sort of my I'm reading this, and just kind of go with your gut. It forces you to go with your gut more and just be more conversational, believe it or not. Yeah. So good things, all good things.
Well, you get used to performing under pressure and somehow enjoying it, and therefore pressure becomes fun.
Yes, it's terrifying, but it's fun.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to get endorphins. Terror does it. I think Josh likes to take roller coasters. Those get you a thrill ride, as it were.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think standing up in front of a crowd and thinking on your feet and acting based on limited prompts, that definitely sounds terrifying.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It's that healthy pressure that's good for short doses, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you can do anything for 6 weeks or anything for 10 minutes. Like you can do anything for a minute. Anything. Doesn't matter how painful and awful it is. It's just 1 minute.
Right.
And if that seems too long, do something for 10 seconds and just do it 6 more times or 5 more times.
There is a skit that we do. It's called 1 Minute Countdown. My favorite. They give you one prompt. They give you a word. You have to do the skit. It's 2 people in 1 minute. Then they ding the bell and they say, do it in 30 seconds. This is what we do, right?
Cool.
So then you do the same thing condensed into 30.
Just the good stuff.
And
Give me
some
the
of
good
it you're
stuff.
dropping words and some of it you're speaking faster.
If that's
just
the way it goes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it goes differently. Then you have to do it in 15 seconds. Then you have to do it in 7.5 seconds. And then you have to do it in 1 second. And that's usually the punchline. It's fun. It's improv. You never know what's going to happen, but it's certainly exhilarating. I love it. Because that is what we do, right? Can you squeeze that into a 30? It really should be a 60.
Yeah.
Right?
When you're recording for us or for marketing messages, all the little decisions that you make end up being important, and you're thinking on your feet. You may have prepped the script early, but you're still making those split-second decisions.
Yeah.
And or reacting to those last-minute surprise script changes that nobody warned us about.
Yeah. Well, that happens with across the board. It's not just with marketing messages. It happens. And you have to roll with that. Or even if you think it's wrong, not that it ever happens at your company, but when the script doesn't make sense or a word is being used wrong, or especially when I do the Spanish work, no, they don't really say that in Spanish, but you have to nuance it because you don't want to offend anybody. Who's on the call, right? Copywriter, translator. I don't know who wrote it. You have to walk that line gingerly, but you also don't want to be incorrect if it's your voice that's going to be on something. So
Right.
that's a tightrope walk.
So
Yeah.
one piece of the setup that we don't often talk about, but you utilize in your booth, it's very low tech. You use a pencil or a pen.
I do. I have an iPad and I will bring it in for a session. I bring it in for auditions because I know I don't have to mark those up. It's just me and I'm self-directing. If it's a session where we have a 3-page Excel sheet or, a Word doc, I'll print it out because they may say, can you change this line, remove this line, and you cross it out. And then they say, you know what, put that back in, take this one out. So you got to erase the cross out, say it again, remember what they edited. Or if it's a translation, forget it. Can you just do this? And how would they say this shorter? You should have had it written shorter. It gets frustrating. And if I had an iPad and I cross something out, I might not be able to retrieve it. I know there's probably a program that I can learn, but
No. The
paper
reason I brought
work.
it up was because after a comment made earlier by Josh about my keyboard being overly loud, I was like, wait, I still need to take notes, and I can write things on a piece of paper and it won't make any noise.
Right. No scribbling noise, Josh, coming in, bleeding in.
No.
So this works. I'm just saying, people, in terms of setting yourself up for success, don't forget the old school techniques of using a pen.
Yeah.
Unlike the pencil trick, which we talked about in another video at a different point in time that wasn't related to this show, but we have links to it somewhere. A pen can be your friend when you're having a podcast or recording session of any kind.
Yeah. Always have one handy, right?
So you have a daughter who is an aspiring voice talent.
That's right.
With everything that you've learned over the years, I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to your younger self that could save you some headache, time, or trouble? But what advice are you giving to your daughter?
Well, I tell her to use her money wisely, I think. Certain things to steer clear of, certain demo places, probably, that I wish I knew about. But you just live and learn. I would steer her in the direction of certain coaches, not others. She's got the conversational thing down. I mean, she's Gen Z, and they just know what is phony, and they don't want any part of it. The 90s, but wait, there's more. They don't want to hear that. Well, nobody wants to hear that, really, but that generation is just so turned off by it. So she can teach me a thing or two. But yeah, I mean, if she comes to me for advice, I give it to her. I don't know what my one piece of wisdom would be, other than just don't spend all your money in one place. Be choosy about it. Don't overthink auditions. Just submit it and forget it. That's something I wrote an article on 2010 about that, or 2008, I think. Submit it and forget it. Just send them in. Just keep sending them in.
Yeah.
And if you get it, great. And if they call you in 2 years, remember that audition you did for whatever? No,
sure, of course.
Yeah,
like
of course.
yesterday.
It's I'm in my Rolodex here. No, but sometimes you never hear
a few
back.
bars, I can wing it.
Right. So I don't know. I guess just have a thick skin. She's also a theater actress, so you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
Doing those in-person things, I don't know how they do it. Oh, it scares me, the thought of that. But just doing them, sending MP3s, you don't even have to interact, really. You just keep sending them. Something will stick.
What are some issues that you've run into, or things you could warn people about when they want to produce a great demo and they go to someone who is going to produce a great demo for them?
Well, some demo producers, the ones that I think are really good, they will listen to you and they'll tell you if you're not ready. If you're just starting out and you're really not up to par, and they don't want to just take your money and produce something that you either can't copy when you get in the booth. It's got all the bells and whistles and makes you sound great, but how many takes did it take to get you the way you sound in that demo? And then someone hires you based on that demo and you can't reproduce that in real time. It's a waste of your money. I mean, they're upwards of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or more. That's a big chunk of change.
Wow.
That you want to be sure that you're ready. There are some demo mills, I call them, like they'll, come for this weekend conference and you've never stepped in front of a microphone before and you'll have a fully produced demo at the end. I mean, maybe people can get work off of that, but it depends on the person. Like if someone's really, really good, maybe, but a demo is something you don't want to rush, and you want to do your research on the coach. They're usually coach/demo producers, right? They have some modicum of coaching in them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them out there. Do your research.
Amy, would you say that you've reached a point in your career where you don't have to refresh your demo reel because you don't need your demo reel anymore?
Not at all. I'm looking to do it probably next year again.
Okay. How often do you think one should redo one's demo reel?
It depends on you, on the person, really. I think mine was done during COVID, and the trends were very weird. There was a lot of sarcastic,
a lot of things
weird
were really
humor.
weird at that point in time.
Right, weren't they? I mean, they were sort of just bizarre, and kind of, I don't really care about this. Buy my product. Don't buy it. You really had to have this kind of, So that's the way my demo sounds. And so it sounds outdated.
Yeah.
So if you did not do it, during COVID, and you're probably golden, right? Because it kind of went back to,
I guess one big
days.
takeaway here is listen to your demo reel, everyone. And if you don't sound like that now, do a new one.
Yeah.
Some people don't care what the trends are, but if you did it in a certain style and that's not really what's booking, maybe take one or two out, swap it out, take some from an old demo. I'm not saying go spend another, thousands of dollars, but if you have a couple of demos, if you've been around the block, then you can take snippets from other demos and just sort of mesh them together if you know how to do that, or hire someone to do it, someone who can produce it, or at least edit, right?
I'm pretty sure my demo sounds something like the Gen Zs don't want to hear. And wait, I have got even more in my demo reel. Listen to this one.
Without
so I guess it's time to redo it.
Send it to me. I'll let you know. I'll be honest.
For a fee.
No.
No,
there's a
kidding.
guy who shall remain nameless, who is a staple in news anchor. And he wrote to me and said, "Hey, will you listen to my demo?" And he's older. So I said, "Absolutely." This was a few years ago. His first snippet said, "Still dialing 0 to call collect." The first words on his demo.
Yeah.
And I said,
nice.
Just take that out. Because nobody, I don't even think Gen Z would know what that means.
Right.
That whole sentence. What does that mean? What's collect?
Yeah.
What's dial 0?
You have a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience, and I know that people interested in voice talent work in starting a new career, because on paper it sounds like an amazing career to have. It doesn't seem like a lot of work, right? I think people are like, "Oh, I'm just using my voice. I can talk. I like to hear myself talk," but there is a lot to consider, and you've given us some great tips, and I wanted to just go through how people can find our show and how people can contact us and leave comments, because we will certainly pass along any questions that you have for Amy, and she can perhaps respond to you. Our favorite way is on YouTube, and it's youtube.com/@GoModPod. So leave a comment on YouTube. We distribute our episodes on Facebook, and it's facebook.com/GoModPod. Of course, our website is gomodpod.com. So those are 3 ways to find our podcast. We also ask that you subscribe. So subscribe in YouTube, or subscribe via RSS, or whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. Search Show Me Your Setup and subscribe. And comment specifically in this episode. We'd love to get in touch with you, point you in the right direction, answer a question.
Give us an improv prompt. We'll do a 1-minute countdown drill. And the punchline will occur right here.
Amy, you've given us almost an hour and 15 of your time. And
wow.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I feel like we should let you go, but I don't want to shut this down if you haven't gotten in everything you wanted to perhaps get in.
No, I wanted to talk about the curtains. I think I
they are
got
beautiful.
Everything.
They really add to the warmth of your room, those curtains.
Yeah,
one of the first things I noticed. Like beautiful doors, beautiful curtains, as well as practical curtains, because I know what they're doing there.
I like the color scheme. Did you pick the color of paint for the walls?
No, this whole house is this color.
Okay.
I think they just figured gray was a good resale color. I don't know. I liked it, so I kept it in here. There are some rooms we're going to change, but...
is it tile right outside?
On the floor?
Yeah, outside. Once you leave the office,
Yeah.
Is that a tile floor?
It is. Pretty much the whole downstairs is...
Okay, so that's
tile.
wicked loud. Now I
Yes,
see.
it is wicked loud.
All right.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Again, you have your whisper room vocal booth so that the only sounds that are really affecting you are inside the house. Everyone in the family knows what you do for a living, and they know, for the most part, to keep it down when you're working.
You would think. Yes.
You after all these years, wouldn't you, though? Like, hello, people. Zip it. I'm working.
Yeah.
Dan, you close it out.
Bye. Oh.
And try again. Begin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Show Me Your Setup. But this is the closing, so it's more like goodbye from Show Me Your Setup. We've been talking with Amy. I'm Dan. He's Josh. She's Amy. We could all introduce ourselves again, but we did it at the beginning, so I'm just wrapping things up.
Perfect.
We got the perfect opportunity today to review this entire new setup that Amy has in her home. We think it's soothing, peaceful, very much the right kind of place to do excellent work because you're in the right frame of mind. You're at peace. You feel good. You look around. You smile. Everything's organized. Everything's working. Everything's labeled. Everything is just the way you want it. And that's how you set yourself up for success. So this has been Setting Up for Success with Amy and her vocal booth.
Thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys anytime.
I'm going to chime in. Anyone else with a setup that they have put some thought into, that they put time, energy, maybe money. Show me your setup. Get in touch. Show me your setup podcast at gmail.com.